Once again, we invite you to stay around after the performance for a talkback with the cast, director, and members of the production staff. Talkback will begin in just a few minutes.
Nobody else wants? How dare you sit on this?
Sure. What's our scene designer?
Brennan?
Yeah, there Well, as it turns out, most of you do know me. For the few of you who don't, I'm Dr. Stephen Schramm, Associate Professor of Theater Arts at Pitt-Greensburg. And we had this crazy idea, somebody had this crazy idea to tour the show and bring it to you. And we did a run of 4 performances last semester. And now here we are kind of restaging it in a totally kind of different space as part of Melissa Rachel's capstone doing a tour as a stage manager. And we also have our costume designer who arrived late, but thank God safe, Diane Burke. And of course, oh thank you, and of course Nathan on lights. So anyway, we just wanted to take a few minutes and see if you had anything to say about the show, how much you loved it or hated it, or why, or if you have any questions about some of the stuff we did with the show. So,
we loved it.
Photo op.
No photos.
We'll start with the loved it questions first.
Or any comments. Oh, I can't see. So.
Oh, Matt Hamilton.
The Carl, yeah.
Actors, any of you or all of you, do you find it, I'm sure you've been in other theater, other events that are like modern theater. Do you find it any harder or different or something to get in character when you're speaking classical drama instead of modern language that would come more naturally from your own mouths? Is it harder to get in character? Is it harder to feel what you want to feel, be what you want to be, because this is classical drama?
I think what Rachel, our stage manager, pointed out a good point at the beginning of the semester, that because at the first couple read-throughs, which exactly like what you're saying, it was really difficult to get into character, and no one knew what they were saying. So it sounded kind of odd. Yeah. So what she suggested was to rewrite the lines in a way that you would say them, or in a more modern sense, so that you would understand them, so that when we read through them in the classical text, that it would make more sense and it would appear a bit more natural than just reciting lines from a Greek tragedy. But as an actor, I still feel like it's incredibly difficult to get into character for that, just because it's something so far removed from everyday life, in a sense. But once you know, the rehearsal process develops and you finally grow into it, I think it's really rewarding, and it can be just as much fun as reciting, everyday language.
Yeah, once you understand the lines and you get what you're saying, it's kind of really, I think it's cooler than being in a modern day play or a modern language.
You got the coolest costume.
Costumes that goes with the lingo. I like it more, even though it is more difficult to learn what you're saying.
And as a scary director's note, Megan had a weird day at one point where she said, "I'm really beginning to feel like Phaedra." And it's like, oh, before the hanging yourself part? I was a little concerned.
Because I had to deal with her. Just kidding, Megan's not suicide.
If
She's still here after.
If you just take the gods away from this and sort of substitute fate, like bad things happen to good people, something that we all deal with every day, does that make it easier for you to get into the feelings that you are trying to feel? I'm sure it's hard for you to relate to, oh, those terrible gods, there they are playing around with us again.
I know for me, I know I am one of the gods, but without some of the other things that I've done, like I've I was in the New Jersey Renaissance Fair's cast last summer, and I mean, granted how much of a part religion plays in that, it does help like add in that sense of someone, like you are a serf, you will always be a serf, you will die in the grave as a serf, and so there is that thread of fate. So that kind of, having that experience kind of helped. Well, I know I was a god and I kind of made this stuff happen, but.
But of course in modern drama we have the twin gods of heredity and environment governing people.
Yeah.
So here we've got them
Well, yeah.
embodied in a different way.
As someone who was, meddled with by the gods, I think also that it kind of goes beyond just believing that bad things happen to good people. Because a lot of times when something bad happens to you, who do you want to blame? Not yourself. And so that kind of mindset, it was fun to get into, just being able to think, oh, these bad things happen to you, but it's not really my fault, it's someone else's fault. But it's really awful that it's someone else's fault because they can do worse things to you than you can do to yourself. If that makes sense. I'm trying to phrase it so it makes sense. I just think it kind of goes beyond, like, with the gods in it, I think it's a little bit farther than feet.
Thank you.
So did Steve make y'all grow beards, or does that?
Yeah.
They're half and half there.
Yeah, I made Elliot grow a beard tonight. Well, the funny thing is, one of the questions we've got to ask about before was kind of the white face makeup. And one of the things I was really concerned about, because I wanted kind of a ghostly, spiritual look to them, and I was afraid that, you always see that line where you don't really blend it and it looks kind of odd. And I thought, well, the Greeks used masks, and so I wanted to try to recreate the mask look. And then, at least for Elliot, the weird thing was, I thought he was a mime. It just didn't look right. It's like, ooh, it's facial hair. Everybody else has facial hair in the men, and he didn't, so we had to draw.
Glad you specified men.
Yeah. So.
How about the Stargate question?
Oh yeah. The symbols on the foreheads. How did you respond to that? What did you think that was all about?
Oh,
Let's
that's
ask
a
them a
on a
question.
team.
Yeah.
It's a way to keep track of the player.
Well, and who their guy was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, we can kind of understand
Poseidon was really.
Poseidon and then
Right.
Artemis and Aphrodite, but I don't get the other ones.
Yeah, the
Megan, you want to explain some of the other
Phaedra
ones?
and the Corinthians.
The chorus women have the moon of Hecate, and Melpomene and Thalia have part of it, and then Corpheus has all of it. And oh my goodness, I forgot what I have on
You're
my
the
head.
flower of Aphrodite.
I
You're the
wanted
one
to
who
say
found it.
key, and I knew that wasn't right. Yes, I have the flower of Aphrodite on my head, so
So that's
that
like
makes
for
sense.
branding.
Yeah.
The brand is that.
Do you think it would be, is it harder to do Shakespearean language than it is to do, say, Greek?
No. This
No?
is harder.
This is harder? Yeah.
There's
think
no
that-
fear Shakespeare online for Shakespeare.
There
There's
you go.
no fear
For
Greek
Greek
language
online.
online. So
I guess you get more opportunity to do Shakespearean type things. than you
Yeah,
would
that's true too.
To do Greek.
We're used to that one.
Yeah.
A lot more than Greek.
Yeah.
I would say it's just harder to do anything that's not normal to us, especially if you forget what you're supposed to say and you're trying to cover your butt and you don't know how to.
It's hard to cover Greek.
Yeah. But don't you just say, oh, whoa, or alas?
So those are the go-to words, just in case.
So Steve, are you ever going to touch Greek comedy?
He's done Greek comedy.
With the 10-foot pole. No, I actually have done a Greek comedy. I did the Clouds a few years ago
Oh yes, the clouds.
in West Virginia. So that was, I don't know. I think Greek comedy is really hard.
Yeah.
I think Greek tragedy is easier.
Yeah.
And often comedy is easier for me than tragedy or serious plays, but I think Greek comedy is tough. Because the structure is so odd, and the characters are weird, and the chorus comes in, it's like, birds, or wasps, or whatever. And it's just, it's hard to embody some of those things, so, but tough.
Yeah. Well, it's Estrada.
There is that one, but, nobody ever does that one. Lysistrata.
They do out well. I was just looking at you.
Oh, okay. Lysistrata is done, like, constantly by people, as people who really know me, I try to avoid things that are done frequently,
Tell me about it.
which leads to the question: why do you pick weird stuff?
This whole year. Weird
All the
stuff.
time. 20 years of. Why don't you do a normal play?
Well, I understand, Steve, you don't want to be compared to the Broadway production.
No, certainly not the one of this show.
Yeah, since I usually have 3 figures for costumes instead of 7 million, so.
Well, I think people really get programmed into seeing the same plays over and again, over and over again. It's like, oh, they're doing Guys and Dolls. I've seen Guys and Dolls. I'll go see it again. And for me, it's kind of fun to either take a play and do a different approach to it, or do something that people don't really see very often. And I mean, it's part of my job as an educator to expose people to more stuff. You know, if I just did Vivian's Rainbow and Guys and Dolls and Cats over and over again.
Cats. Don't do cats.
Diana, I need some cat costumes.
I'm still talking about Phineas Reed.
Yeah, that's my target for this semester. Every time I want to talk about a show I would never do, I mention Phineas Reed.
When was this previously?
Phineas Rainbow in years.
And there's probably a good reason for that.
When was the last time this was produced? You said it was last year?
We did it in November, I'm thinking 17 through 20. Yeah.
Oh, just last November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys didn't have a chance to really forget your lines and have to relearn them again?
How do you like that?
They had plenty of time to forget them. To get them.
And
Now,
we
of course,
did.
and of course, we had an illness just this week struck our cast, and so we drafted Emily at the last. I have nothing more to say about that.
Yeah.
That was a good resounding applause. That was just what we were
Who came up with that, with the holding of hands? Did you guys?
I actually stole that from Samuel Beckett's Come and Go, where the 3 women kind of join hands in that way, and it just seemed like it's an homage.
I thought they were going to start dancing sideways when I first saw it.
Yeah.
Do the
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Stravinsky.
yeah. Anything else?
So how many locations are you guys going to?
Well.
for this series?
Yeah.
This is it. Yeah. We tried to do a couple different places for touring, and either management had changed or people said, "Ah, yeah." So I'm paraphrasing, but it was close. But you bid here, so thank you for having me.
Did you say anything about cleaning the ketchup up first when we were here?
I have mentioned to several people, but yes, yes, the room has been transformed.
Completely.
This used to be a kind of cafe performance space, and we would clean up the tables, clean up the ketchup off the floor, and set up the stage.
Then we
So,
had the show.
it's very good.
Then have to
The
be
VIP
closed right
only.
back the next day.
The zigzag linoleum.
And yet, I remember the water fountain turning on a regular basis.
Oh,
Is that nostalgic for you?
Yeah. In all the wrong ways. But as we say, nostalgia ain't what it used to be.
You don't have to flip the lights or stage lights.
Good yesterday.
Well, if nothing else, hang around, greet our actors, have a drink around the corner maybe, and we still have beverages left over. But thank you all for coming out on this lovely rainy night and seeing our show.
Thank you.
We can stand up.
Jesse is family, so the rest of us
Hippolytus.
Try and stand up after you're sitting up there. Oh, hey, sweetie, how you doing? Oh.
Thank you so much for making the trip. I know you guys have to do it.